Educating Our Children and Twin Flame Reunions. August 15, 2014. With eternal love overflowing from our one heart, we are the higher self and guides of the scribe channeling this message on earth. We've spoken with you plenty of times about the importance of community and togetherness in regards to the construction of your utopian society, and will continue to touch upon this theme in the time ahead because a lot will need to be said about the importance of coming together, on a local and planetary level. Unity will be an essential aspect of your heavenly future, and when all of humanity is awake and aware of the necessity to cease fueling the mechanisms that drive your current paradigm, such as division and hatred, you'll build your new world relatively easily because you'll no longer be divided based on outer appearances or other differences that pose little relevance in the bigger picture. In time, you'll see that you're one consciousness who's been split and divided into various personalities for the purpose of growth, learning and enjoyment, and when you realize that you're meant to enjoy your existence and work together in harmony to see to it that everyone on your dear planet thrives, the changes you've waited so long to see will be simpler to create. This is because the collective vibration will have risen to new and extraordinary heights, and while this is an ongoing process, it's one that's being driven by each of you in every moment. You're contributing to the creation of your new world with everything you think, say and do, and with this in mind, we'll happily answer the first question that's been provided for us by a reader. Question number 1, properly educating our children. Considering the way of the world today, what is the most loving and highest way to educate our children? Thank you. From our perspective, the best way for your children to be educated is for every community and its members to take part. Every parent, neighbor and participating member of the community can play a role in educating every child, and in general, a much stronger sense of togetherness will need to be bred in humanity before your children can be properly educated. We aren't the first channeled source to tell you that on other, more evolved planets, every member of every community plays an active role in raising and educating their children, and the model for your children's education that you could be living up to is far purer and more efficient than your current. Even the education systems of many developed countries lack many fundamental essentials, such as the encouragement of a child's individuality and creativity, which will need to be restored. The cabal has purposely created a broken education system that doesn't embrace the positive qualities each child individually possess, and instead, a conformist system is pushed onto children, which, in many cases, evaporates their greater spirituality and creativity at any early age. Needless to say, this will have to cease if you want to raise children who are willing to contribute to a progressive society instead of descending into negative and self-destructive qualities that keep them from acting on their true potential. This takes us back to the importance of humanity coming together and raising your children as a communal effort, instead of putting their education in the hands of overwhelmed public schools that aren't given enough funds to properly educate children or help them thrive. There are a lot of flaws with humanity's current education systems, and some of them are very purposeful, but all of them are fixable. As you'll soon find out, a lot of the most important and difficult issues you face are caused from the division that's been played on in an effort to keep you under the cabal's thumb, and when humanity comes together once and for all, these issues will be easily solvable. We've mentioned before that humanity can get a lot of things done when your motivation to do them is particularly strong, and this will especially prove true for the construction of your new society and everything that'll come with it, including the education of your children. When every soul is passionately involved in helping the children of humanity learn, grow, and thrive instead of descending into the aforementioned destructive qualities, your children will experience no more difficulty growing up in your otherwise cold and painful world. No more will children be separated from their natural spiritual spark, their innate essence that helps them thrive, and children will grow into intelligent, enthusiastic adults who are willing to pursue their creativity and use what they find deep within to help your planet find the light. Nobody will be left out of the construction of your Nova Earth. And when everyone is awake and inspired on such a level that they're willing to unite with people they might have otherwise fought, you'll seem to make a wealth of important and needed changes overnight. We'll now move on to another question that was given to us from a dear reader. Question number 2, meeting one's twin flame. Have I met my twin flame in this current incarnation or have yet to meet her? Before we answer this question, we want to make it clear that we speak specifically for the reader who's asking it. Other seekers' relationships with their twin flames will be entirely different, and you're each interacting with your twin flames in unique ways. In time, you'll find that you all traversed your ascension paths very differently, and our reader's path, as well as his twin flames, is very unique indeed. He hasn't yet physically come into contact with his twin flame, who's currently in another part of the world until fate naturally draws them together, and his twin flame is searching for her missing romance. She hasn't yet found it, but she's looking in a lot of unique and interesting places. Our reader would likely immediately ask, why have we not been drawn together? We'll be happy to provide a response. As difficult as it may be to learn, both our reader and his twin flame still need to look within their own hearts and find the pieces of themselves that seem missing before they can reunite. Their reunion is inevitable, and it's based on the inner work they both do to clear the obstructions that stand in their way of finding, knowing, and loving themselves in a much greater way than they currently do. Once this important and needed level of self-love can be achieved, they'll naturally attract each other by sending out a vibration of lovingness, completeness, and willingness to reunite with their other half. As ironic or contradictory as it may sound, they must find themselves, all of themselves, before they can reunite with their other half, and the pull they'll feel toward one another will be almost magnetic when they've done the necessary inner work. Again, others are experiencing completely different paths with their twin flames. Some are with their twin flames currently, while others have yet to meet them. Still others won't meet their twin flame until they're back in the higher realms, and even though our reader and his twin flame both decided to incarnate on Earth to assist in its ascension, mutual incarnation isn't as common of a phenomenon as you might think. Some seekers might find it hard to believe that many twin flames split apart so one of the halves can assist in the Earth's ascension, but this is true. The twin flame who stays behind helps their counterpart on Earth navigate the difficult challenges they face, and when their significant other is back in the higher realms, a glorious reunion will take place. In the case of our reader, whether or not he reunites with his twin flame in the third dimension or the fifth, depends, again, on the inner work they're both able to do. If there were to be an extraordinary case where one of them achieved twice the amount of inner work that was required for their reunion, it'd likely balance out the progress the other hadn't made and enable the reunion to take place. We offer this advice in part to encourage our reader to catapult himself into the inner work he has yet to do, and we encourage all of you out there to embrace your inner work as well. There are only a precious few seekers who have little to no inner work left before they can know themselves and their hearts in the realest and purest sense, and our reader, along with many others who are absorbing this communication, has more work to do before he can find the love he's ready to find. We note how ready many of you are to find and anchor a higher vibration onto your etheric bodies and the planet around you, and while some of you still have some disciplines to implement and some important inner work to do, the progress you've made so far has been monumental to say the least. Our reader and his twin flame have made a lot of potent progress, but they have yet to reach the last few and potentially the most difficult strides that are needed before they can be naturally drawn to each other. Even though the future is based on an ever-changing set of variables and potentials, we'll encourage our reader to look out for signs of progress by the seemingly sudden emergence of a trip to somewhere far away. This could be a precursor to a reunion, but again, we don't want to descend too far into specifics because by the time he's made the necessary level of progress, plenty of things could have already happened. His twin flame could have already been drawn to him, for example. They could have been drawn to each other through a different set of circumstances early on without recognizing each other, but as long as they make the necessary progress, their reunion will take place. Conclusion. We were more than happy to answer these questions, and this is in part why we encourage our scribe to make the call to provide them. We too want to interact with you in much more direct ways than we've been able to so far, and hopefully, our direct answers to your questions will help you see how real we are, and how directly involved we are in your individual and collective ascension. The souls who are currently speaking with you include the higher self of the scribe channeling us and this scribe's guides, but you can connect with your respective higher selves and guides and receive even more personal advice that's intended to help you navigate your way through the lower vibrations. Your higher selves and guides have a lot to offer you, and while we're happy to take your questions, we'll always encourage you to find and maintain a connection with your guides, because they have much more to offer than we do. We'll make our final expressions for this communication with appreciation for the work you've all done in strengthening your growing revolution of love. You're making more progress than many of you realize, and while more work will always remain to be done, it's helpful to pat yourselves on the back once in a while for the immense things you've accomplished so far. Your evolution will strengthen from here on out, and by this point, we're almost comfortable refraining from encouraging you to work hard, because for the most part, you already are. You've already found the motivation to offer yourselves to your planetary evolution in immense ways, and your work will absolutely pay off in the end. As long as you remain committed to it, the bounties you seek will gracefully make their way to you, and all it takes is an open mind and a brimming heart. Thank you to my higher self and spiritual guides. Channeled through Wes Anak. cultureofawareness.com